Abe sends an offering to the Yasukuni Shrine, which is sure to anger South Korea and China. Hong Kong is set to unveil its plans for electing a new chief executive in 2017, and Pakistan is chastised over a proposed cyber law. These stories are coming up next. This is the Asia Brief. A very good morning to you on this Wednesday, April 22nd, 2015. My name is Steve Miller, and it's my pleasure to be here with you today, so thank you so much for taking the time to join me. It happens twice a year. At Tokyo's Yasukuni Shrine, festivals honoring Japan's fallen who served under the emperor until the end of World War II. Like clockwork, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe made a ritualistic offering, opting not to tempt fate by making a personal visit, with a trip looming to the United States next week. He sent a traditional potted plant on Tuesday, the first day of a 3-day spring festival. Seoul and Beijing view any visit or offering made to the shrine as acts demonstrating an unrepentant view of history, and rest assured, in the coming days they will make their displeasure known. The shrine itself is beautiful and is home to some 2.5 million spirits of those who once served the emperor. While focus is usually drawn to Japan's soldiers and Class A war criminals there, it should be noted that the spirits of teachers, factory workers, and animals are present as well. In fact, those war criminals weren't even originally there, but added after the fact under the cover of darkness. The real problem isn't even the shrine. In every way, shape, and form, it is a very holy place. What should be taken issue with is the museum on the grounds that tell a very distorted history of World War II, one where Japan is painted as a liberator of Asia and victim of aggression. However, the focus between now and Abe's visit to the United States will be on his speech, what he'll say, and what he won't. There's widespread speculation that while he's publicly stated he supports previous statements by the previous administrations, he doesn't feel obligated to repeat them verbatim. That is something Seoul is worried about, and now seems to have secured a public relations firm in the United States to promote its version of history ahead of Abe's visit to Washington. On Saturday's Asia Now podcast, I'll be speaking with Jonathan Miller from the East-West Institute about the lingering issues between South Korea and Japan. So be sure to check it out. Later today, Hong Kong will unveil its long-awaited plan on how the city will pick its new chief executive in 2017. No surprises are expected today, as the guidelines will closely match those Beijing announced last year that ignited the Umbrella Revolution. Those hoping for the top office will need 120 votes, or 10% of the nominating committee, made up of mostly pro-Beijing supporters. Those that meet that threshold move on to the second round, where 600 votes are needed, and the top 3 pass through to the final round. Ronnie Tonkawa, a legislator from the Civic Party, said, quote, "No matter how you play around with the initial hurdle or the procedure of the nominating committee, the crux of the matter is there is no possible hope of anyone with a different political inclination other than the pro-Beijing parties would get past the majority nomination requirement. The Pan-Democrats at most, at any point in time, can muster about 200 nominations. That's far, far short of getting 600 nominations." End quote. In order to become effective, this measure would need a 2/3 majority vote in a parliament of 70. That would require 4 Democrats to change their minds and support the Beijing plan. Dr. Willie Lam from the Chinese University of Hong Kong has said it's an uphill battle to get the bill passed, but, quote, "Beijing has immense political resources in Hong Kong, and I think it's a fact that the top leadership under Xi Jinping has indicated they will pull out all the stops to have the bill passed." End quote. If the measure fails, it would be seen as a victory for the Pan-Democrats, and the 2017 election would revert back to the current system. Human Rights Watch, Privacy International, Digital Rights Foundation, and others issued a joint statement expressing concerns over Pakistan's proposed Prevention of Electronic Crimes bill, declaring it a risk to freedom of expression and privacy. We have serious misgivings about the process through which the PEC bill was drafted and revised. By excluding civil society and the private sector from consultation on the bill, the government prevented genuine public scrutiny of the bill prior to voting in the National Assembly. Resultantly, not only the democratic process in Pakistan has been undermined, but the bill contains several provisions which are potentially damaging to privacy and freedom of expression. In breach of Pakistan's obligations under the International Human Rights Law, Section 34 of the bill is overly broad and fails to include adequate safeguards for the protection of rights to privacy and freedom of expression. It empowers the government to order service providers to remove or block access to any speech, sound, data, writing, image, or video without any approval from a court, the statement said. Boiling it down, essentially what they're saying is without oversight, it's a blank check for abuse. The bill also allows Pakistan intelligence services to share information with foreign agencies without oversight. Now, governments do need to police the internet for intelligence, but not at the price of becoming Big Brother and abolishing not only privacy, but the checks and balances required to ensure a safe society. Well, my friends, those are today's stories. I hope you'll take a moment to leave your thoughts in the comments on Facebook or Twitter. To keep up with more news from the region, follow Asian News Weekly on Facebook or Twitter. You can also send an email to the show with your questions, your comments, and your feedback. That email address is podcast@asiannewsweekly.net. If you enjoyed today's program, please share it with your friends, and if you haven't, subscribe. It's absolutely free and easy to do. Just go to our website, asiannewsweekly.net, click on the subscribe tab, or you can do so in your favorite podcast application like iTunes or Stitcher. Well, my friends, that's all the time I have today. Thank you so much for joining me. Until tomorrow, my name is Steve Miller, reminding you to be true to yourself and to always be awesome.